All right, today we'll be looking into Visa. They've just recently released their quarter 2 of the fiscal year of 2023 earnings. So I made a video a couple of weeks ago about Visa versus MasterCard in terms of dividends, dividend growth. So make sure you watch that video there. That'll provide a little bit more context into this video here. So we'll be having a look into the finances of the company and seeing how they've been tracking over the last couple of quarters. But before we get into that, I've just finished off the trading week. We're currently up at the end of the week. So last trading day, we're up by $1,738, which makes the total profit of my portfolio just over $25,000, which is just over 10% to what I've put in here. The current cash position is sitting at $1,458. I recently made a deposit into that with a couple of dividends as well. So making the total equity of the portfolio so far just over $273,000 USD. So when you translate that to Australian currency, I think it's just sitting over $400,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in the last couple of weeks, the market's been sort of like very volatile. At one point, I was down to $260,000, and over the last couple of days, it's gone back up to $273,000. That's largely due to the recent tech earnings reports, such as Meta, Microsoft, and a couple of others that sort of really bumped up the portfolio in the last couple of weeks. All right, but diving straight into it. So here's the second quarter report for the fiscal year of 2023 from Visa. And as you can see here, before we get into the numbers here, there's a statement from the CEO, Ryan McInerney. And basically, what he's stating is, I have been at Visa for nearly a decade, and I've never been more excited about the opportunities in front of us. We have a compelling strategy, a world-class team, fantastic clients, and an incredible set of capabilities that I believe are second to none. While there is a macroeconomic uncertainty, I feel confident in Visa's ability to manage through changing environments. All right, so as you can see there with that statement, very confident statement by the CEO. Everybody knows, behind a successful company, you need a very strong CEO. So, that message right there, fixed with a very positive earnings report, is only really good things for Visa. But moving on to the numbers. So the net revenues, they've put in $8 billion, which is an increase of 11%. The net income is $4.3 billion with an increase of 17%. And then, the earnings per share is come at $2.03, which is a massive increase by 20%, which is extremely good results there. Now, just one thing with that earnings per share, I generally use macro trends, to get a good understanding of the finances of the company. So I'll move over here really quickly. And look down at the bottom how it says earnings per share here. It's got it posted in at $2.27. So it's really not all that accurate, but it is better than most other websites. So just make sure you always cross-reference with the actual earnings report of the company itself, because here it's got the GAAP earnings per share of $2.03 there. So just something small, but something to be aware of as well. All right, one key metric that I found interesting, was where they're getting their revenues from, and the most was the cross-border. So everything overseas is where they're getting the most amount of volume from. All right, but moving over to macro trends, for the most part, the rest of it is very accurate. I've cross-referenced it with the actual earnings report. So looking at the revenues quarter over quarter, you can see, a nice increase in the revenues here. So here you can see they've posted in at $7.985 billion. So, when you go back to the highlights, they generally always round it up to 8 billion, on the reports there. And as you can see, the gross profit is just under $8 billion as well. So as you can see, of quarter over quarter, that nice linear progression on the chart there. Coming down at the EBITDA, again, like a nice linear progression with the EBITDA. And then same with the earnings per share, as you can see on that graph there. All right, moving over to the balance sheet. Okay, cash on hand is sitting at $17.8 billion in cash, which is insane. And they've still got receivables of $4.2 billion, making their total assets $85.3 billion, with the total liabilities sitting at $48.4 billion, which is really good. All right, so overall so far, the financials of the company are looking really good, mixed with a good earnings report for the fiscal year of 2022 being Q2. Okay, coming over to Seeking Alpha and having a look a little bit deeper dive with their dividend. So they've been paying a dividend for 14 years, and then every single year for those 14 years, they've been increasing their dividend, which is really good there. So moving down to, this is the max chart on their previous history of all their dividends. And you can see, from all the way before 2010 to now, they've increased that dividend every single year, without a doubt, very easily, and they've still got a lot of cash on hand with their balance sheet. And we'll have a quick look here. So yeah, like I said before, $17.8 billion on their balance sheet, which is really good. So you can definitely tell that over time they're going to be able to pay that dividend with ease. All right, heading over to the dividend growth chart. Now, this is by far the most impressive. So you can see back from 2009, and then every single year that they've paid the dividend. This is the growth rate every single year that they've grown their dividend by. So in the last one, 2022, they've grown their dividend by just under 18%. Like that is insane. Imagine if you were to hold this company, or you were to purchase like 100 shares 15 years ago. You've pretty much like 3x'd your dividends there without even having to do anything. Just holding the money in there yourself, it's just growing without even doing anything. So coming back to the dividend history, in 2014, they were paying 10 cents per share. All right, so then 4 years later, they've essentially like doubled their dividend. And then from 2020, they were paying 30 cents per share, to 2023, 45 cents per share. So it's increasing in like rapid volumes. I don't personally own Visa at the moment. I feel like the stock price is just a little bit too high at the moment. Let's quickly just go have a look. So currently trading at a 30 PE ratio, which is considered a little bit high for these type of companies. But looking at the 3-year period, had a rough like an all-time high at $249. It's currently sitting at $232, and as you can see there, it looks sort of very volatile in the short term. So I'm really just waiting out for that stock price to dip just a little bit. I'm probably looking at a target price of anything under $200 would be good for me. But if you scroll down to the bottom of Stake, you can actually look at the analysts' estimates or their target prices that they want. So City Capital, I've got a target price of $273, and then Baird, a target price of $284. For me, that's probably like a little bit too high. But given their dividends are very strong, it is a hard decision. All right, so there you have it. That's the most recent earnings report from Visa. All right, only really good numbers and strong financials on the balance sheet there, and awesome dividend growth as we can see here. So I think Visa is definitely one to look into for now. I personally think that it's trading a little bit too high, but when it does dip in price, I'll definitely have to pick up a couple of shares in order to increase my annual income. But let me know your thoughts on Visa's most recent earnings report. Let me know if you're going to buy in, or how many shares you hold, or how long that you've held the Visa shares for. That'll be good to know. Just let me know in the comments below. But as always, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out, and I'll catch you next time.